Well, it wasn't pretty by any means, and it felt at times like an early season game, but the Eagles were able to hold on, bolstered by a strong defensive performance and more than a handful of Packers mistakes for their first postseason victory in 2 years, punching their ticket to the divisional round. Welcome to the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Green Bay Packers 22-10 on Sunday afternoon, securing their first postseason win since January 2023, and this was a real defensive scrum. These were two of the top-ranked defenses in the league going into this game, so you could expect that it wasn't going to be quite as high scoring as some of the other playoff games should have been. And it's understandable that the Eagles' offense might have struggled a little bit. I said the Eagles needed to score 30 to win this game. They only nabbed 22, so it was definitely closer than I would have expected it to be. But the Eagles' defense definitely put the better show on during the day. The Eagles had 4 takeaways on the day from the Green Bay Packers, including an opening kickoff fumble that set up the Eagles' first touchdown of the day, and 3 other interceptions off of a Jordan Love that hadn't been picked off in weeks coming into this game. The Eagles were +4 in that turnover department, so it should be easy to win these kinds of games. But at the end of the day, it's the playoffs, and it wasn't easy. But the defense did wonders to keep the offense in this game, which has been a theme throughout this season. Jordan Love went 20 for 33 in the passing game for 212 yards, and for losing 2 receivers during the game and already being down a third going into the game, those numbers are actually facially solid if you disregard the turnovers. But the Eagles were definitely a force to be reckoned with in the backfield all day. Nolan Smith had his way with the Packers' offensive line multiple times. He sacked Jordan Love twice. The Eagles delivered 5 other quarterback hits, tackled for a loss 4 other times. So the defense did its part, not giving up a touchdown through the air, but the Eagles also showed signs of wear later on in the game. The Packers had a number of explosive plays, including a 31-yard run by Josh Jacobs, as well as 3 other passes that went for more than 20 yards. The Eagles started to give those up to an offense who is number 1 in the league in terms of explosive plays going into this game, and that definitely was a bit concerning because the Eagles have been really, really good at limiting those over the course of this season. There's also a concern about Nakobe Dean, who left the game due to a knee injury, did not return. But overall, again, the defense did its part, as has been a theme this year, and played with a physicality that the city expects of its defenses. And the offense really appreciated this as they needed the defense to step up. The Eagles' offense struggled after the opening possession. Jalen Hurts, 13 for 21 for 131 yards. He did have some stellar moments. The Eagles were able to buy Hurts nearly 7 seconds in the pocket on the opening touchdown pass to Jahan Dotson, and Jalen Hurts was able to connect with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert a lot over this game, including a 24-yard pass to Goedert that had Goedert using a lot of his own physicality against the Green Bay Packers. Saquon Barkley had a really solid performance, 119 yards on 25 carries over the course of the day. He continued to show that he can be a force for this offense to rely upon. And to Jalen's credit, he didn't turn the ball over, which was huge for the Philadelphia Eagles, as it always felt throughout the course of this game that the Eagles were just a turnover away from losing the game. But Hurts definitely had his missteps. He looked rusty at times. He was sacked twice over the course of this game, and both of those sacks were avoidable. This is another rehashing of the theme of the season, where Jalen Hurts really needs to work on tightening up that internal clock that he has. That pocket presence can't always result in 6-7 seconds of clean pocket time, so he needs to be aware of when he needs to launch the football and throw it away. Among the receivers, Jalen Hurts again connecting really well with Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson. A.J. Brown was a relative non-factor in this game. He only had one catch for 10 yards. But just generally speaking, the Eagles had opportunities to put the throttle on, but for whatever reason just were not able to do so. And that extended to special teams. Jake Elliott was 3 for 3 on field goals, most of his field goals averaging around 30 yards. But Elliott also missed an extra point that, if he makes that, definitely makes the Eagles' lead at that point of 7 feel a little bit more comfortable. But instead, he missed it. The Eagles were only up 6, and that set the Packers up to potentially go downfield, score a touchdown, kick a point after, if they were able to do that. Fortunately, again, the defense was able to not allow that to occur, but it was definitely something that was running through my mind that the Eagles could have allowed that. The Eagles definitely have a lot to tighten up, and Nick Sirianni did acknowledge post-game that there is not going to be a victory Monday for this team. They're going to get right back to work.
Obviously, things could change if we play on a Saturday. We got to correct this tape. We have things that we have to get better from this tape. If we play on a Saturday, then their day off has to be tomorrow. We'll find a way to get the corrections to them and review that on a Tuesday. But if we play on Sunday, we're coming back to work. We're going to get our lift in. We're going to correct the things that we need to make as coaches. We made errors as coaches, and we made errors as players, and we're going to go back and get those fixed, because all that matters is the next game, and all that matters for that next game is that we get better from the things that happen in this game and repeat the stuff that we did well from this game.
And the fact that they're not resting on this victory is huge and necessary, because the Eagles simply have to tighten this performance up. They're going on to the divisional round. There are fewer and fewer teams that they're going to be facing. The teams that they're facing are the best of the best. The Eagles could be facing in the divisional round their perennial playoff nemesis, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could be facing the first 14-win wildcard team in the Minnesota Vikings. Or they could be facing the Los Angeles Rams, who have the potential to shake things up for the Eagles. This Eagles team has a lot to work on no matter who their divisional round opponent is. There's a good foundation, yes, but it's going to be a challenge for them to tighten this up for later rounds in the playoffs. At the end of the day, though, it is important to acknowledge that the Eagles did defeat a Green Bay Packers team by 12 points that had a really solid defense. So the fact that the Eagles were able to defeat the Green Bay Packers by 12, they were able to put up 22 points on a top 5 defense in the league. That's saying quite a bit. Definitely, it was a defensive scrum. The defenses duked it out, and it was ultimately up to which offense was able to break through the incredibly strong defensive performances that we saw. And also, to the Eagles' credit, nobody tried to play hero ball. Everybody did their part, and the Eagles live to play another week. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for of this team. To go 1-0 each week of the playoffs, and the Eagles are now 3 wins away from bringing a Lombardi trophy back to Broad Street. But as always, let me know what you think in the comments below. What stood out to you about today's game? What needs improvement? Let me know. And thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to the Bird's Nest Podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest Podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube, as well as by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and iHeartRadio. Please visit birdsnestmedia.com for additional Eagles and NFL coverage, and if you feel so inclined to support us in a different way, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description below, or at birdsnestmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go Eagles!